Spiderman, Spiderman, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes a Spider-Man. Welcome to
Another podcast.
I am Ahmed Eldawah.
I'm Peterson.
I'm Jake Lasser.
God, that was a great start, guys. Thank you.
It was okay.
Yeah, Jake, you wanted to say a couple of words before we started, which makes me nervous.
I do. Please don't be nervous, though. I assure you it's going to be good. So, at the time of recording this, it's the holiday season, and I've been in a holiday mood, positive mood. So I thought I would spread the holiday cheer to my fellow podcasters. So I have some things I'd like to present. Well, I have like, there's two main things. So let's go through this real quick. Let me get them out of my bag here. So we're going through and trying to find movies to do. So I thought I would kind of expedite that process a little bit. So I pulled out some stuff from home, and we'll have you guys vote on them. So I brought 6 movies here. I'm going to give 3 of them to each of these 2, and then I would like you guys to read out the titles, and we'll, maybe leave a comment and let us know what you'd like to see.
All right. Herbie Fully Loaded, a classic.
Wall-E. That's pretty good.
No Country for Old Men.
Happy Feet 2.
Oh, I think this is probably going to be the winner. The B Movie.
God damn it. Of course you put that one in there. And leaving off with, I have no idea what this is. Dougal?
Dougal? All right. A lot of people probably don't remember Dougal. It was like a made-for-TV movie thing. I think you might have seen it on TV back in like the early 2000s.
What? It has like a star cast. It has like
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon, Whoopi Goldberg, Ian McKellen, Kevin Smith, Jon Stewart.
It's a weird beast.
hell?
It's a weird beast. I just rewatched it recently over the summer with a good friend of mine. And then when we started the podcast, she was like, "You have to do it on the show." So.
Things are about to get hairy. Dougal. Legend tells of 3 magic diamonds that, if in the wrong hands, can be united to create a force powerful enough to freeze the sun. When the evil sorcerer, Zebad, played by Jon Stewart, escapes from his ancient prison, he vows to exact revenge by deep freezing the earth forever.
Oh no!
Wow. Okay.
The villain is a spring. It's good. I think we may actually have to do that one. But let us know what you'd like to see. Let's not dwell on this too long because I have one other thing.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, no, it's really...
Okay, I'm looking at the pictures here. There's the dog, the titular Dougal. There's a train, I believe.
Yep.
Is that a cow?
Everything is sentient in this movie.
The train is sentient.
There's a bunny. There's a spring. A spring.
What color is the spring?
Hair. It's like gray.
Ooh, that's Zebad, I think. He's like a grayish blue color.
Okay.
Sure. Somehow, I imagine we're either getting that one or the B movie. So thanks for giving them options.
So there are your options, folks. Let us know what you want to see. But let's not dwell on that too long because we got one more thing. And I'll try to make this quick because I know we want to talk about the movie. But again, it is the holiday season, so I did want to get you guys some gifts because I love you guys. You guys are great, and I wanted to get you guys some stuff. And I thought, what better time to give it to you than on a podcast where everyone can see it, and I can make myself feel better about myself. So let's go ahead and do that.
See, I feel like I should be grateful, but I'm just like skeptical and scared.
Yeah, my feelings exactly. Yeah. Also, especially because you're doing this and you're like, here we are, no gifts at all. You're like, look, I have gifts for my friends.
Well, I wanted it to be
buddy.
a surprise. That's the reason I was late to get it. Because I forgot. I didn't have time to finish wrapping them. But let me open this up. I wanted to keep it super sealed so you guys wouldn't be suspicious of anything.
Oh, you wrapped them.
It is yours. Oh, jeez, I just hit the mic.
No, it's fine.
I really hope this wrapping paper is like really crinkly, so I hope people can still hear us talking.
Here.
Oh, you. Okay.
Oops.
So you can
All right,
read.
obviously, we got to read the cards
You can
first.
read the cards.
Obviously.
You can read them out loud, but that's up to you because they do get like a little personal. But I mean, that's your choice.
Okay. I'm.
Also, I will fully acknowledge, like, it's totally shameless that I was like, I'm gonna give them the gifts on the podcast, but I mean, too late now.
He gave us very personal notes, and now I feel really.
I feel.
Why
I
did
feel-
you know? You could have been like, "Hey, let's have like a gift exchange
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
podcast."
yeah.
No.
Then we would have been
Screw
fine.
you.
That would have been
piece of.
dumb and obvious. All right, open your stuff.
Oh no!
Yeah, I'll get the wrapping paper out of here.
Thank you.
Oh my god!
What the?
So-
What the? I hate you with a passion. You're the worst.
You're the worst person ever.
I hate you so much. You lovely human being. You got us hoodies. And look at mine. Look at mine. It has. Look at it. It's
What
so
is it?
nice.
What does it have, Ahmed? What's on it? Use
Yeah,
your
what's on?
words.
Let me describe it for our audio viewers because now it's on iTunes. By the time this is up, probably.
Yay, iTunes.
And maybe other things that you guys listen on. Maybe we'll see. It has a nice little camera logo over a rainbow, which is so lovely and gay, and I love it.
I mean, it wasn't expressly that. I thought it was like a film reel, but I mean, sure.
Mine says Excelsior, which is Stanley, rest in peace, is his catchphrase, and he's a creator of Spider-Man, which is my favorite superhero, and it's just I love Marvel. And
I'm glad you guys like them.
Well, now I have to wear this.
yeah, same.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, awesome.
I'm gonna wear this on the podcast for the rest of this time. We'll be wearing shirts that Jake, or sweaters rather, that
And
Jake
now I
got.
have something vaguely Spider-Man-y for this podcast.
Yeah, how about that, right?
Oh, now you make me doubt. You know.
Well, I
Jake,
was gonna get you like a comics one related, or a comics related one too, but I couldn't really find anything that like stood out. I know you like Batman. I was gonna get you a Batman one, but I couldn't find any that were like really good.
No, this is perfect.
Also, this like fits perfectly.
Jake. Jake.
I'm glad you guys like them.
I want everybody to know how terrible Jake is for getting us gifts that are lovely and thoughtful and writing thoughtful cards and then not telling us he was going to do anything like that and forcing us to look like assholes.
No, I wasn't forcing you to look like anything.
Censor.
Okay,
Sorry.
I wasn't forcing you guys to appear in any way. I just wanted to like
I'm just messing with
capture
you.
your
I'm just
reactions
You-
But you're
on
such
the.
Go to hell, you
genuinely nice
Yeah, all right.
person.
God
I'm
damn.
going. Should I go now?
Freaking
I'm going.
Look, okay.
Bye.
All right, we get it. We should. Jake's the best person on the podcast. He's
No,
the
shut up.
nicest guy. Whatever. I
Shut
don't
up. No, you're wrong. This hurts.
No. Jake, I love you. Please.
Great.
Take my hand, Jake.
Sorry, I got a little too dramatic.
Take my hand, Jake. Take my hand. Take her hand. Together.
Hands in, everybody.
Hands in. I want you to know, Jake, you're one of my favorite people in the world, even better than Pete. Pete kind of sucks, you know.
Suck it. I win.
that's
That
all
was-
the
that
only
was my-
reason
that was my master plan, obviously.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, I'm glad that you guys like them because I was
God.
not sure
So nice.
how they were gonna go over.
Let's just get into
Yeah.
the rest of the podcast, whatever. What are we doing? News. Right. What's the news? That was the news. There's no news. There's no news this week.
Okay.
Yeah. Jake ruined the news. No, he didn't ruin the news. There's nothing going on.
The news was it's the holiday season, so even if you suck, try to be nice to people, and then, you know what? I'll just leave it at that.
Words of wisdom. If you suck, try to be nice to people.
There you go.
Put that on a sweatshirt. Right?
There you go.
All right.
Don't. It's
That's our-
not. Don't. It's not.
on our
It's not a good quote.
Check our merch store that doesn't exist. No.
What movie are we talking about?
We're talking about Spider-Verse, which makes it very appropriate that you both have nice little sweaters and hoodies.
Oh, yeah,
that
I wore my-
like Spider-Man related
I
things.
wore my Spider-Man sweatshirt.
It also
Yeah.
feels really cool because it like is little spikes that are sticking out. so
Yeah,
you
they're
can,
like
Yeah.
I don't know how
It's like little
it was
rubber
made.
bits.
There's like little rubber pads
and
coming out of it.
For our audio listeners, it's a sweatshirt and
It
has
was
a,
$8 on clearance at Target.
Dang.
Nice.
Dang.
Nice.
What? Wait, what? That's just processed. Oh, I should turn off my phone. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, what? Anyway, continuing on. Sorry.
Yeah. But yes, we're talking about the Spider-Verse. You're all you're appropriately dressed, except me, because Jake was terrible and he got presents, but he didn't get a Spider-Man related one. So terrible on him. What a terrible person, right, guys?
Jake,
I'm sorry.
just leave.
All right.
Leave. We're kicking you out of the podcast. Let's hold a vote.
Yeah, Jake obviously is the worst person on the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, Jake sucks.
All right.
But yeah. So Spider-Verse. First off, spoiler-free. General thoughts. Let's go one around the table.
Please tell me we are going to include a part where we can just talk about it with spoilers.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
all right. Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously. Yeah.
All right.
But let's just start spoiler-free for the people who just want to know whether they should see this movie. Yeah? For me
Yes.
personally, yes, you should see this movie. Starting with me, it's such a good movie. The storyline is like I won't say it's flawless, but like you can ignore pretty much all the flaws. It's like so good that they're really only minor things, and they're not really that noticeable, and if they added them in or fixed them, it probably would have made the movie worse anyways, so you can really forgive it for those things, for kind of being there and being sort of kind of flawed. So it's kind of okay. And the animation is beautiful, but I won't continue harping on because I'm talking too long. But go see the movie. So
Yeah, I completely agree.
Well, do you want to preface it by saying that you're like a huge Spider-Man?
Oh, no, I was about to get into that. Yes, I love Spider-Man, and I've loved Spider-Man like all my life because my dad loves Spider-Man. And this is the best Spider-Man movie ever. Like, hands down, better than all of the Tobey Maguire, all of the Andrew Garfield, better than Homecoming. It is so amazing. And it's not just great for people who love Spider-Man or are into comics or like know a lot about this stuff. It's great for just anyone. Like, it's genuinely really funny, and it has like little like nods and stuff for people who do know, but not so much that it detracts from the story or anything like that. And it's just a fun old time. So go out and see it. It's a great old time.
So yeah, personally, I also thought it was fantastic, and I think it's also my favorite Spider-Man movie that I've ever seen, because you have the animated ones and the live-action ones that have come before, and they're all good, and they all have their own charm. But this was so consistently good, and it's weird too because it has, I'd say, probably has the most fan service out of any of the movies. But that works to its benefit because it isn't annoying about it. Like, it uses a lot of the in-jokes and stuff, to still make just plain funny jokes that people who might not get the references will still think is funny. And it's just got great storytelling. Like, the art style is awesome. It has like this cool cel-shaded aesthetic to it, which is great. I mean, I always love that in anything. I think we can all agree it's just like our favorite thing.
Can you point your mic more towards your face?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, the overall verdict, I think we all loved it, and it's each of our favorite Spider-Man movie that we've ever seen ever.
Sort of more minor things. The soundtrack is also just brilliant.
Yeah.
Personally, I love it, and one particular track on it that I have pretty much been waiting to come out since I heard it in the first I think it was a teaser trailer. It's Home by Vince Staples, and I've never listened to Vince Staples in my life, but that song, the second I heard it in that first teaser trailer, I was like, I need to listen to the song on repeat constantly. And
do you want to give us a little sample of that? Like, you want to sing some for us?
God, no. God, no.
No, you could do it.
No.
I'm
No, I
serious.
cannot. I cannot do it. I will. I'm not going to embarrass myself.
I'm having flashbacks to the Lost in Time Bohemian Rhapsody video that we did.
Oh, shoot. Do you want to talk about that? Like, mention that at all?
No.
Or?
Let's leave it buried in history.
But essentially, there's some great sound bites of Ahmed singing that
They're really good.
we might release.
Never. I'm in charge of what gets out and what is edited. That will never leave.
They'll find their way out.
No, never.
I know where it is. I can.
It might be in like 20 years, but we'll get them out there.
Anyway,
They'll die before I.
let's get back to the movie. The movie is, oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good.
Pete, I have a question. Is it good?
It's so good. Sorry.
You heard it here first.
But just everything about it, it's so visually it's so cool. Just like it's very stylistic. It's very new. Like I've never seen an animated movie with this kind of like style in it, and not just that. It like combines different like types of animation style. Like there's a character who's like in kind of like a 2-dimensional cartoon type animation. There's like someone in like anime animation. There's like a black and white character, and it's just done so well, and it's just so pleasing to watch.
Also, the voice cast.
Oh my God, yes.
Kills it. Let's just, I mean, even without, like, even if all the people in there weren't as well known as they are, like, they still did such a good job, you know, regardless of that. But then when you do look at it, it's like, oh, okay, well, who are the people who actually did this? You got John Mulaney as Spider Ham, the pig,
the pig version of Spider-Man, who was a pig, who was a spider bitten by a radioactive pig.
That's right,
the best thing
which
in
is
the world.
great. And I think we all love John Mulaney.
Oh,
so
yeah,
definitely
he's amazing.
points there.
He was a genius cast. Nicolas Cage is Spider-Man Noir.
Nick Cage is Spider-Man Noir, and I think he's probably my favorite side character in the whole
was
thing.
He's so funny.
But yeah, like we have a great cast, and Shamik Moore, who did Miles Morales, he did such a brilliant job.
Yes,
Oh
he's
yeah,
amazing.
he did fantastic.
Oh,
job.
Jake Johnson, he plays Peter Parker.
Peter
but,
B.
like,
Parker.
Yeah, Peter B. Parker, who's kind of like, he's like a 40-year-old Peter Parker who's like divorced, and he's like,
Yeah.
Kind of has a dad gut 'cause
Yeah.
he doesn't exercise.
God, he does a
It's great.
good job. Jake Johnson, he's like the guy from New Girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what he's from?
Yeah. New Girl. That's generally what
That's
people know him from.
But he's so
I'm
good.
gonna be honest. I really was not sold on him playing Peter Parker at all when any of the trailers came out. Every time I heard his voice, I was like, "That's just
He doesn't
sound right.
traditionally sound like a Peter Parker when you first hear his voice.
Yeah,
but he can
like,
do the character.
He does the character really well, and especially the sort of version of the character that he's playing. Especially, I think he nails it. Just because there is like the way it's not really sort of Peter Parker as we normally know him. So
Yeah,
it's sort
yeah.
of it works especially for the character.
When can we talk about spoiler stuff?
Oh,
'Cause
before spoilers,
I'm so
I-
excited to get
before
into that.
spoilers.
I do want to say it has a Stanley cameo. That is just when it like happened, the entire theater just went like, oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was like so. It was
It's a really
so
well done
perfect.
one.
Yeah.
They had a
like-
tribute to him in the
And
credits
the,
at the end.
Yeah,
too,
Yeah,
and the
which is
tribute
really
to
nice.
him and Steve Ditko is
Yeah.
it made me tear up a little bit.
God, it was.
So good. And not to mention, I mean, like if you're a really big Spider-Man fan, like watching through to the end of the credits is very worth it.
Oh,
No,
even
all the way to the end.
even
All
if,
the way.
even if you aren't a big Spider-Man fan,
it's
you should stay till the end because
you'll enjoy it,
the greatest after credit scene ever, hands down.
hands down.
It's fantastic.
This was I think both all three of our reactions. It was just like, oh my God, it's this, and then just laughing. For
I
like a solid
stood
half
up
an
out
hour.
of my seat because everyone started to leave, but I knew there was going to be something, so I got up. And then I kind of like sat back down because I had to grab my stuff and shot right back up again when the scene started.
It was so
Yeah.
But yeah, that end credit scene is perfect. And I feel like I have other things to say before spoilers, but like also I feel like I really wanted to talk about specific points in the movie as well.
Let's just get
So-
into spoilers. All
right.
Just watch the movie. If
Watch
you
the
haven't,
movie.
if you haven't seen it, just
Yeah.
watch
Go watch it, then come back to this video to see
Yeah.
our like specific points.
Really, really good.
So good.
I mean, because so far, we've, at least what we've released onto this channel, we've really only reviewed stuff that we didn't love.
True.
But
Whoa, hold up. Space Jam is a classic.
I guess objectively, we overall enjoyed that more than we did the Grinch.
Speak for yourselves.
Oh,
first
okay.
Of all.
All right.
Okay.
The Grinch was a masterpiece.
Whoa.
They clearly both had a lot of problems. But
Whoa. I think we're jumping over the fact that Ahmed said that the Grinch was better than Space Jam.
I wasn't going to acknowledge it because I was just going to let him kind of, tell himself that he was right, and I wasn't going to mess with his false sensibilities. I didn't want to take time away from the podcast.
Yeah.
Fight
to-
me, Jake.
Okay. All right.
No, I'll lose.
I think we just agree Ahmed's wrong and move on from there. Okay.
Let's agree that Ahmed's Wrong and the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie is really good, and also Ahmed's Wrong still.
Let's agree that Ahmed's wrong. Into the Spider-Verse is really great. Ahmed's wrong again. And I'm really hot. All right, continue.
Yeah, we could probably agree on that, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess we can agree on that last point, especially.
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 All
All right, no, that's a little too weird. That's a little too weird.
Hey, put in the comments if you agree.
This has gone on too far. Now, let's
All right.
get...
Ahmed, leave all of that in.
We've been talking about getting to spoilers for a long time. Let's get into spoilers now.
Yeah.
So go watch the movie, then come back after you've seen it.
Yeah.
So specific
All right,
points.
wait, hold on. Welcome back. You just saw the movie. What did you think of it?
Nope. Nope. Let's do spoilers.
No,
Just do it.
that bit was it wasn't even a bit. It died before it began.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where was that going? Were you expecting a response?
No, I wasn't expecting a response. I don't know. I'm not very smart, and I don't think that far ahead. So I was like, let's see where this goes. Nowhere.
enough.
It went nowhere.
It went nowhere.
I'm a great improv partner. Starting the improv. No,
Yeah.
no, stop it.
Ahmed, cut that part out. All right, go. Just I'm gonna stop
Anyways,
talking.
so let's start with just favorite part of the movie overall.
That's like a tough one.
It is.
Yeah, that's super. Oh, also, I probably should have mentioned this in non-spoilers, but I cried during this movie.
Me too. I did too.
It's emotional, okay?
It is.
With the part where he's talking to his dad through the door. Ah,
Yeah, it gets surprisingly dark too.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. For if you didn't see the movie and you just skipped the spoilers or just like watched through the spoilers, yeah, it starts out with so Miles Morales and is like has some backstory for him and he gets bitten by the spider, yada yada yada. But there's already a Spider-Man in that universe, and then so he starts getting powers, and then he meets the Spider-Man who's like fighting the Green Goblin at that point. He's like, whoa, you also have spider powers, and then that Spider-Man just dies, like he just gets killed.
Kingpin like smashes his
Yeah,
ribcage
Yeah,
in.
that was wild.
Oh, and can I say that Spider-Man voiced by Chris Pine, I believe.
Is that right?
yes.
Look that up.
They made him look like Chris Pine.
Yeah.
See,
no,
I didn't know that until you just said it, but then I realized that Chris Pine is listed as part of the cast, and I was like, Chris Pine is in this movie?
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize that was his voice, and now you said it.
Maybe
I
he was
realized-
Stan Lee. I don't know.
No, but okay. I just processed that Jake's hood was up like that.
Oh well.
I've been staring at you for like a good 2 minutes. And I was just like, oh no, that's just normal Jake.
Well, we just had that whole segment. Like, it's probably 30 seconds to a minute ago at this point. That I was like, Ahmed, cut that out. You may have left it in, I don't know. But then I was embarrassed, so I put my hood on because I was ashamed.
No, I'm sorry. I feel bad for being so mean to you on this podcast, especially since you were so nice to me.
No, you're not being mean.
No, he is being
You're just being honest, you know. I would rather you be honest instead of just like lie and pretend to be like.
God, your hair is sticking out a little bit, so it looks like eyes.
Oh wait, really?
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna like.
He looks like those characters in cartoons.
I just face planted into the microphone.
Oh yeah.
It's
yeah.
like
We can't see.
either a goth or a stoner, and you're not really sure which it is.
Exactly, and you're just gonna keep going with that.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
What
anyway.
are we talking about now?
Okay, so I just I sorry. I want to say the Chris Pine version of Spider-Man was also done really well. Like he really nailed the character. And you can really you get the sense that he's he really cares, and he's trying to make everything seem easier and better, and he, even though it's hard for him, he doesn't show it on the outside. In the moments with where he's with Miles Morales, he's like, oh yeah, everything's gonna be fine, totally, and he's clearly dying, he's coughing, and he can't really move. He's just yeah, just do this thing for me, go away. And then later he's still making jokes right before Kingpin just smashes him to death.
Well, that's not. I think that's something that a lot of the movies forget about. At least a lot of the live action movies forgot about. Is he's supposed to be a mouthy character. He's a moody kind of. I mean, at this point in the story, he's technically an adult, but the story starts where he's kind of a moody, snarky teenager from New York. He talks back to people. He calling the villains names and stuff and messing around with them.
Yeah, sort of as a coping mechanism.
I think that's what Homecoming did a really good job at. Is he's supposed to be a kid. You know, he's not just going to be super serious. And when you make Spider-Man that serious, he gets boring.
Yeah.
So don't make Spider-Man that serious.
I think another thing was we've had Spider-Man movies for almost 2 decades at this point.
Oh, that's weird to think about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
We know who Spider-Man is. Like we've been with this character for so long. It makes perfect sense that they took that character because he's the only Spider-Man in this movie that is that Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
kind of yeah.
Like even Peter B. Parker, he's like washed out. He's like
He's kind of
he's like he's
given
past
up.
his prime and he's like cynical and all that thing. That was like the ideal like Peter Parker, the one that we know from the movies and they kill him off. We know who that is. We don't need to see another movie of him.
Well, it
I don't know
established.
if
Move on
I
to the next
agree
one.
with that though. I don't know if I would say that the first Peter Parker. I think he's called Peter A. Parker, which was I just realized that joke and now I'm amused. But I would say that Peter A. Parker is like a Spider-Man and sort of Peter Parker who has his life together, which is very antithesis to sort of how Peter Parker and Spider-Man is in the comics, in that he's always down on his luck. I'd say Peter B. Parker is, if anything, kind of closer.
Well,
to
but
in some ways,
in terms
to
of
sort
attitude, I would say. And the thing is, what I actually thought was really good about them killing him off right at the beginning is it's like it establishes and makes clear to the viewers right off the bat, like this is a new story. This is not, you know, the same story that you've already seen a million times.
yeah, I agree with.
So going into it, you're like, oh, okay. So then any like sort of standard expectations that you may have had, you don't have to worry about because now you're like, okay, they're telling a different story. It's got a lot of the similar beats to it because like Miles learning, you know, how to use the powers. A lot of that is similar, but the way that, you know, he actually goes about it and he sort of comes into his own is way different because the character is different. His situation is different.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see because, you know, after seeing the same story a bunch of times, you get tired of it. Like that's another thing I loved about Homecoming is they actually didn't have the whole part where Uncle Ben dies and Peter like, you know, goes on the whole thing because we already know about that. That already happened. Like it's one of the most recognizable parts of Spider-Man is his backstory.
Yeah. Oh.
So you don't really need to rehash that every time, and they do mention it in the movie, but they don't
they don't make a joke out of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Like
but they don't sit on it for too long.
Yeah.
This movie is also like pretty like self-referential, or not necessarily self-referential, but referential of like Spider-Man and like the past movies and all that stuff. And they do a cool thing of like you understand you know Spider-Man's backstory, so they just like go through it in like 30 seconds, and then they do that for every one of the Spider-Mans that show up. And
it's
really,
all they're
really
all
well done.
kind of similar.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
then
yeah.
they
kind of make a joke of that.
Yeah.
But what was it?
I think the best part is in the very first one where he's going through his like it opens with like a sort of rough like catching up of like Spider-Man's story, and it goes through and it mentions like Spider-Man 3 and how he's like dancing through the streets.
That was
It's
that was really
that was
clever.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I think he even says like we don't really like talk
we
about
don't
that.
talk about that. Yeah.
That was great. Also, he mentions releasing a Christmas album, which I think officially makes this a Christmas movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, like
Yeah.
how Die Hard is a Christmas
yeah,
movie?
exactly. It's as much of a Christmas movie as Die Hard is.
I wouldn't say if it's as much of a Christmas movie, but I think it still counts.
It counts.
I'd
And
say-
even if it
I'd
doesn't,
say-
we're making an official
It has a
agree that
Christmas
it
song.
does.
I'd say you're wrong, Jake. It's a Christmas movie. Shut up.
I didn't say it wasn't. I just said it isn't as much as Die Hard is.
It has a
Before I
Christmas
hurt
song
you.
in it. It's very like
Okay, Die Hard happens on Christmas though. It's different.
I'm gonna hurt you, Jake.
Why is this
Can
why
you-
is this what you're focusing on?
Wait, but can you tell me, Jake, that this wasn't on Christmas?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that the movie itself doesn't take place during Christmas. Die Hard does.
But
It could be happening during the Christmas season, though. Like the security guards listening to that Christmas album. Maybe it's.
I mean,
you know.
Why is this what we're focusing on?
I'm just saying.
I'm sorry I offended your pride about
no.
Spider-Man
Actually,
Christmas.
hold up. I think they say that he's been at that school for a couple months, and he just started that school, so it's not on Christmas.
I think it is. I think it is during the winter because you see it snowing
I
at
don't-
one point.
Yeah. It's,
Do we?
Yeah, after
it
when he goes to the gravesite.
Oh yeah, it is snowing. It is Christmas.
It's
season.
a Christmas movie.
It's a
Never
Christmas
mind.
movie.
You're wrong. It's a Christmas movie. Shut up.
Christmas
all right,
isn't
let's
all
move
of
on. No,
winter.
it is all of winter. Yes.
Okay, I honestly.
If it's snowing, Jake, it's freaking Christmas.
I can get why you're defending this. Why do you care? You don't even celebrate Christmas. I don't celebrate Christmas. You're the only one who does.
I have a special attachment to Christmas. Okay, it's my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
I care.
That's right. It is.
Yeah. A Christmas movie is basically my birthday movie. That's how that works.
Well, I mean,
What
was that laugh? It was like,
Shut up.
It was a good laugh. That's like one
Why
of
am
those
I getting
soundbite
attacked
laughs.
like this?
all right. What else is there to talk about? Just
So much, but we just harbored.
the after credit scene. We have to talk about the after credit scene.
You want to jump all the way to that?
Oh, whatever. Shut up.
Okay.
I want to talk about it.
All right.
Sorry to say shut up so much.
No,
I
it's
don't mean it.
No, it's fine.
I
Dude.
love you,
just
Jake.
stop apologizing.
It's creeping out. Come on.
Okay, so if you don't know Spider-Man comics, there's a character, Spider-Man 2099, who's
Miguel O'Hara. That's his
O'Hara.
alter ego. O'Hara?
Yeah, I believe.
One of those. Anyway, sorry.
I don't have a hood.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good.
Yeah.
He's like Spider-Man from like an alternate reality, but it's the future. I'm just ignoring you, Ahmed. And he's really cool. So like this, it starts out this like futuristic robot lady talking, and she's like blah blah blah, like Miguel, and then he's like whoa, and then you see the arm. First of all, voiced by Oscar Isaac.
Oh, was it Oscar Isaac?
It was Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, Oh.
And I remember Ahmed like someone's like
It's a good choice.
Oscar. I see like Oscar Isaac in the credits. Like I don't
I thought he
remember
was
hearing his voice.
uncredited though, or maybe they put him as additional voices or something.
Yeah, it must have been something like that. But then he shows up, and then like at least Ahmed did. I don't know if you reacted, but we were all like, whoa.
No, I reacted to that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love.
yeah.
That was the last time, like right when I stopped reading the Spider-Man comics, because I read them pretty consistently since I was little, up until right around when Spider-Man 2099 was like getting really popular. That was like the last time I read Spider-Man comics, and then I kind of didn't read comics for a while. But I mean, I loved it when it was coming out.
It's really fun. And
Yeah.
because like what I enjoy is there like I could hear like voices catch as like she said Miguel, and then his hand with the costume comes in like whoa.
But then this is for people who this also is good for people who don't know the comics. The premise. I mean, obviously, if you're this far, you know the story. But it's like jumping from universes. So he's like jump to universe 67, and he jumps back.
Well, I think that's in reference to the year.
Yeah. He jumps back to the original Spider-Man cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And they reenact the pointing meme, and it is the greatest thing ever.
Why are you pointing at me?
It's like I don't know how no, you're pointing at me. No, why are you pointing at me?
No, you keep pointing at me. You're
pointed
doing
at
the
me
exact
first.
same thing.
I don't know how many people listening to this really know that meme, because it's kind of old at this point. Like it was
Everyone knows
people
that
know
meme.
that meme.
They would you would know it if you saw it.
That's a big
You'll know
meme.
it because Spider-Man, whoever drew Spider-Man in that scene, they gave him a really like lumpy face. So if you've seen a picture of like Spider-Man, but like it's almost like the bottom half of his face, like his jaw or where his cheeks are at, kind of bulges out under the mask. That's what that's from.
God, it was.
Perfect.
It just made me so warm inside.
Yeah.
You know?
It was really satisfying to see, and it was funny too. And then it goes on for a while, just kind of back and forth.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's
perfect.
so good.
Do you want to talk about Stan Lee's cameo?
I
mean, we mentioned it, but I feel like we should talk a little more about it.
It's really.
It's
what
really
What did
sharp.
he say? He
It'll like Miles is like, can I return it if it fits? And he says, it always fits eventually, which I enjoy the fact, or something along those lines. I'm not sure, but it's like,
Yeah.
it always fits eventually. And my favorite thing is that then it's like the camera pans and is like no refunds or returns.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well,
like,
he says something else too before that. I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, but
But it's like really profound now, especially. I think that they recorded it before he passed
Yeah.
away.
yeah.
no, they recorded him talking after he passed away, Jake.
Yeah, they resurrected him. Marvel has the means to
and
do
then
that.
they killed him.
I don't know. Maybe he's just like in stasis somewhere. Like
I guess, yeah.
he's like Winter Soldier. They just like froze him again, threw him in the freezer. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
They need to keep him for all the Stan Lee cameos. They just bring him out for that.
I mean, I don't know. It's totally possible because Marvel,
Yes,
Marvel
it's
probably
totally
has the technology.
possible.
Disney has.
They are
it's Sony.
such a titan
No.
of a company.
This is a Sony movie.
No, but
Oh, yeah, isn't that weird to think about?
It's a Sony movie, but Marvel pretty much owns Stan Lee. It's the same technology they used to freeze Walt Disney's head.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, isn't it weird to think about? Granted, it was a different team, but technically, it's the same people who made the Emoji Movie, made this
we were
movie.
talking about it. It's so weird, right?
Whoa. Oh, hold on. What?
There's different people involved, but like the overall, like it's because it's Sony, right?
It's the Sony Animation.
Yeah. It's the same studio.
Same studio. I mean, it might be like a completely different situation.
Well,
Maybe they were just
like,
having a bad
it
year
is,
when
but
they
it's
made
just
the
like-
Emoji Movie.
Well, no, somebody
Whoa.
made like a really bad pitch. I think the difference is really when you bring Phil Lord, who did like the Lego movies and like
Lord and Miller.
and Miller. Obviously,
Yes,
I forgot
yeah.
Miller. That's dumb. I'm stupid.
I thought the
of me,
Lego
but-
movies were pretty good though. Like,
No,
for
yeah,
what
that's
they
what I'm
were.
saying.
No, yeah,
that's
but
what I'm saying.
they
They
did-
brought on these guys
Oh,
who
okay.
were like
For the
top
Spider-Verse.
tier.
They didn't direct it, but they were like creatively involved. I forget
Yeah.
how. This movie has like 3 directors.
Yeah, it has a lot.
God, it's so good.
But it's so good.
I really want to just go watch it again
Yeah, honestly, it's
because I want to go back and pull out all the little details that we may have missed the first
Yeah,
time through.
yeah.
Because there's
Right.
so much in there.
Yeah.
I mean, they pack a lot into this movie.
and
so much happens.
It's like so much happens, and they do it so well. They balance like all of these characters really well. I will say I would have liked more time with all these characters, but I feel like that's what like sequels are for. Like all the different like Spider-Man Noir and Peter Porker.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to give individual sequels for that? I don't know about
Oh
that.
No,
but
no,
they'll
no.
like expand on the characters
Yeah.
in sequels.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a sequel coming out, and then there's
Yeah.
the Spider.
It's Spider
Woman
Gwen.
movie.
I love that like art style. I
Right.
love like the
Yeah.
purple with the whites and
Yeah.
It's a good
it's so
character
good.
design. That's
yeah.
something that Marvel, they don't always succeed at this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Marvel consistently just is so good at character design. And then a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the time when they do mess up, they're able to go back and sort of
Yeah.
clean it up into something that's really good.
So here's something. I'm going to bring up a negative, which I know we don't want to do because you guys love it so much, but I'm going to face the hate. And this is only to be again. Like I said in the spoiler-free review, this is kind of like a you can ignore it, and if they put it in, it might have made the movie too much, or it might have made the movie's quality kind of worse, and it might have been an unneeded really plot in the end. But one thing that I noticed is that sort of Spider-Gwen is kind of in this movie, which means that like, and she's like was like best friends with Peter Parker, and it's sort of shown that like she couldn't save him, which kind of implies the idea that in other universes there is also a Gwen Stacy of kinds, but they don't really acknowledge the fact, and neither does Gwen Stacy sort of acknowledge the fact that there's a whole bunch of like Peter Parkers of different universes that she has to sort of deal with. So she doesn't really acknowledge that very well or at all. And Peter Parker, like Peter B. Parker in particular, because I don't know like enough about the rest of them to really know about Gwen Stacy and their universes, but Peter B. Parker doesn't really acknowledge the fact that sort of there's like this Gwen Stacy character here, and and I guess you can't really assume that like the sort of history went off the same way because obviously there's got to be some sort of divulgence in the history somehow. But like Gwen Stacy plays a pretty critical part in like the Spider-Man sort of mythos,
Especially in the original run.
But I definitely feel because they're going for Gwen Stacy being younger.
Yeah.
I feel like I think they're just not gonna go with that because I think they want to focus. Oh, if you don't know in the comics, Gwen Stacy was Peter Parker's first like girlfriend.
Before Mary Jane, a lot of
Yeah.
people think Mary Jane's like the staple, but Gwen came first and was
Yeah.
like a prevalent character.
Yeah.
But what happened was the Green Goblin like kidnapped her and like threw her off like a building or a bridge, I forget. And
Then
Spider-Man tried to like save her, like shot his web and it like caught her foot, but then like her neck snapped from
It was like the whiplash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and then she gets cloned by Jackal at one point.
We don't talk about
yeah.
that. We don't talk about that.
Yeah. Don't think
Yeah.
about that.
But
that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's there's some weird stuff. But
But-
for a while, she was a really great character.
But I
in there.
think they're just not gonna go with that because in the comics, her and Miles, like the Spider-Gwen and Miles Morales, had sort of a thing. So I think they're moving more towards that and making her probably the love interest.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying like she should be the love interest of Peter Parker. I'm
No,
saying
no,
more along the lines of I noticed that they didn't really acknowledge the fact that there's not like about Gwen Stacy potentially have dying in at least one of like the different universes.
I don't think they're gonna talk about that because I think they're just gonna. You can go in assuming that doesn't happen in Peter Parker's life.
You can.
I think they're shooting for her being younger.
Yeah, I know that's like why they're going, but like it doesn't really matter younger because remember that in her universe she didn't save Peter Parker. Like the time is kind of confusing.
Yeah,
it's not really clear. So Peter Parker's like a teenager in her universe.
Yeah, but
so.
I don't know. I feel like it might just confuse people too much if they. I don't think they're gonna go that way just because I think it overcomplicates things.
So I get why they didn't. do it, because I'm not, and that's why I'm saying like it's really minor and it doesn't affect the quality of this movie, and it probably, like you're saying, it probably would just convolute it and make it worse if they tried to do anything with that, because it would just make the movie feel longer and it would be unnecessary. So I get why they didn't do it. I'm just saying it's sort of weird because having knowledge of the sort of comic book universe and knowing that, it felt weird to me that they just didn't really acknowledge it at all. So like. But I can assume that it just doesn't happen in anybody else's universe. And
it didn't really bother me that much. I do want to touch on 3 things before we wrap up. First thing is, this movie is genuinely really funny. Like, like the jokes, like Superland, and like it's like not. I wouldn't like call it like a comedy, but like it's like really funny. It's like surprisingly funny. Like more so than a lot of other like superhero movies, which generally I find pretty funny.
Well, I think it's because a lot of the humor doesn't just it's not based solely on the fact that they're superheroes. It's just funny humor on its own.
Yeah.
And then that way it works no matter what format it's in.
Yeah, but also this movie it also plays on the tropes of like superhero stuff. Like the moment where Miles gets bitten by the spider and it's like this like big like long like
it's like a
dramatic shot.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to him and he's just like
he kind of just smacks it off.
Smacks it off, yeah. But that just this movie is also like it just generally has like a good story, and you really feel for the characters, and it does a great job of like balancing it, and it focuses mainly on Miles, which is really good, and also Miles Morales finally in a movie, which is like super awesome because he's such a great character.
Yeah,
it also has some really good like well done foreshadowing. Like it's the best kind of foreshadowing to me is you watch it the first time and you're like, oh, okay, and then you only notice it the second time you watch through and it makes sense. It shouldn't be that obvious that you kind of get suspicious as you're watching it for the first time. So like the stuff with his uncle when they go into the subway, and like he's able to clear the fence really easily and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You kind of understand. And it's like, how did you find this place? He's like, oh, I used to have like an electronics job down here. Like they don't make it super obvious because a lot of the time then like foreshadowing that's too direct can kind of take you out of the movie. Right. And they do a really good job with that. And then he turns out to be Prowler, and there's multiple chase scenes.
And then he dies.
Then he dies. He gets shot by Kingpin.
And I think it's really important to mention that like the relationship between Miles, his dad, and his uncle are really well done and brilliant. Like it's sort of,
and it's kind of unique. Like I think at least for a Marvel movie.
And even like they don't spend too much time on it. There's like really not that many scenes of him with his dad or him with his uncle, but you really get a sense of their relationship and then the structure of their family just with like little subtle things.
Yeah. And I don't even think you see the dad and the uncle interact with one another the whole movie.
You don't.
You just hear about them talking about the other to Miles separately.
Yeah. And this movie does a great job of not being too much when it has every opportunity to be too much. It needs to balance so many stories and so many things and put them all into one thing, and it does a great job. Like in a worse movie, the whole relationship with the dad and the uncle would have like gone on for a while, and it would have been like
it would have been the main focus.
And
not even that. It just would have been like explained. Like they would have given like specific details, and it would have been like a flashback of like, oh, when we were younger.
Yeah.
But no, they
also probably would have used it to like wrap up the movie.
Yeah.
And they make it very clear. It's basically just his dad became a cop, and at that point, they just sort of drifted. And
they went down separate paths. So they don't get along. He hangs out with each one individually, and he can kind of understand why one doesn't agree with the other.
Yeah. And one of the best parts, I think, is that it's not like a angel-devil situation. Like, neither his uncle or his dad are, like, perfect, or neither are, like, exactly devils, right?
They both have, like, clear faults.
Yeah, like,
exactly.
His uncle promotes his art. He helps him, like, sort of really feel and, like, help. Like, he's somebody he can talk to, and he's still a good person. And when he's, like, doing the Prowler stuff, it's kind of like, oh, you can see how, like, you just fall into that stuff when you're, like, kind of being a bad kid. And then
Can I just say how happy I was to see Prowler in this movie? Because, like, that's the other thing this movie did great. It didn't reveal, like, the villains or any most of the characters in the trailer, which I love when movies do that because then it's a surprise. Like, that was my biggest issue with Thor Ragnarok. I love that movie so much. But if they had not put the reveal of Hulk in the trailer, it would have been so much more satisfying when you got to that scene. I know they did that because people like Hulk and they knew it was going to get more people in the seats.
It's a weird balance of like what you need to show to get people in the seats, but also what you want.
This movie did a great job. I actually like it when movies don't really reveal who the villain's going to be because then it's just when the villain does show up, you have more time to be like, oh, okay, you're actually using your first movie going experience on that
Yeah.
to understand the character. You don't already kind of have an idea of what they're doing beforehand.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd say that if anything, as far as the villains are concerned, the main villain, Kingpin, is kind of the weaker part of this movie.
Oh, I
I disagree.
And not in like his sort of act. Like he has a lot of really strong moments, but I think his motivation doesn't really go the best.
I
don't-
think I don't necessarily I don't think it's his motivation. It's just it does feel a little shoehorned in. Like it doesn't.
Is that accurate to the comics, by the way?
I'm not sure.
Well, I know that he has a wife and son,
Yeah.
and a lot of things sort of happen. In my awareness, I know that sometimes it depends on the comic
yeah.
writer. Sometimes they're dead, sometimes they just left, and sometimes his wife is like sick, and it sort of depends on the universe.
Yeah,
I will say they managed to make Kingpin really intimidating, which is
Oh,
one of the
yeah.
whole
I was
draws
gonna-
of Kingpin. He doesn't have powers. He's just like he's supposed to be
really
really
big dude.
scary.
Yeah. Oh,
That was one of the great things about like Kingpin and Mysterio in the comics is like they're not necessarily super strong. I mean, Kingpin is like physically strong, but in terms of like, you know, comparing them to other villains, they don't have a lot of the same abilities and stuff. Like Mysterio is intriguing because he relies a lot on like tricking people. He isn't actually just running in and like beating the crap out of people. So he's more interesting than when, you know, he's defeated and you kind of pull away his mask and stuff.
yeah. And on the villain thing in Kingpin, the way that his just this whole movie across the board does a great job of making the characters look unique without it being jarring. Like Kingpin, his physique, he kind of like looks like a box, and it's like really
Yeah.
cool and it's really intimidating, and it really adds to the character. Like he's like big and imposing and intimidating, and
It works really well with the art style.
yeah,
that
and
they
it
chose.
looks really
yeah.
cool. And just the who voices him? I
I'm
saw
not
it.
sure.
It's
He does a good job though. I mean, everyone does
it's
though. All the
something-
voices are fantastic.
What is it?
While you're looking that up, can we also just really quick?
Schreiber, something Schreiber.
Leave Schreiber.
Liv Schreiber.
Wait, is that right? He does the voice?
Yeah, he does
Yeah.
the voice of Kingpin, and he does such a
Oh,
great
that's
job
fantastic.
of like.
Yeah,
First of all, I love the accent he does. It's like a very like.
Well, I didn't recognize it because he was doing
Yeah,
a voice.
But then, like, he does a great job of like getting the anger, and like when he kills Spider-Man the first time, it's like, it's
Yeah.
intense. He's like a scary villain.
It's terrifying. And for the most part, I think besides Kingpin and Prowler, the rest of the villains are kind of just.
Oh yeah, but
Well,
whatever.
okay. Can we say also the third villain that gets a little more spotlight in there is
Doc
Ock.
Yeah.
Doc Ock. Oh yeah.
Doc Ock is done.
You had a theory, actually.
Doc Ock is done a lot differently, and yet also the character's kind of the same. But I think they did a really good job
Yeah.
with it, with that
very
character,
interesting.
and it was It was an interesting way to kind of
Yeah.
give the character a
I enjoyed
redux.
this.
I have a
That was
theory because there's like a couple throwaway lines that go toward this, and the character designs lead me to believe this. But I think that Aunt May is related to Doc Ock because Doc Ock in this is a girl. I know, sounds ridiculous, sounds crazy. Whoa, what is Pete talking about? That's pretty weird. But
I don't think it's that weird.
shut up. God, sorry. I'm really sorry.
No, you're fine. You know what? Don't even acknowledge it because it's gonna keep happening. So just
It will. But in the movie, Aunt May like takes the spider gang,
the Spider
this-
Crew.
the spider crew, to this shed, and like it like unlocks it. And it's kind of like a Spider-Man Batcave type thing where like it has all this stuff.
That is pretty much what it is.
And then
Yeah.
and you assume whatever the Spider-Man made that, but she gives a throwaway line like hands Miles these web shooters, and I believe she says, "I made these myself,"
She
or
does say
something
that.
like that.
there's
Hands
references
them.
to the fact that Aunt May is the one doing a lot of like the
Exactly.
engineering stuff.
So she clearly has a good knowledge of like how to make things and like inventing and all that thing, which fits with being related to Doc Ock because obviously she's like a scientist. Whatever.
Well, are you going to talk
whatever.
about the specific line when Doc Ock shows up at the house?
Oh yeah, and I forgot about that. And she shows up to the house, and what she says like "Hi, Liv" or something.
yeah. She
Something
addresses
like
her by the first name,
Exactly.
which is like, how do they know each other?
At the very
Exactly.
least, they're friends because the
or
way
at
that
least,
Doc
or at
Ock-
least they were friends.
Yeah.
At some
Doc,
point.
because Doc Ock is like, my friends call me Liv, but you can call me Doc Ock because that's her sort of reveal line.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was really cool. But and that's why I think that I don't know if I believe that they're sisters, but I would believe that they were like, say, like college
I can
roommates or
believe that.
something like that, and they like.
There's
work
some
together.
past affiliation.
There's definitely a past affiliation with them, so that's why
I don't know.
they'll
I
probably
think
explore that.
even though they made Doc Ock female, like it didn't really mess with the character at all.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is like if you're gonna change the character around a lot, you can do it. Just like make sure you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But I think the way they did it was fine. Honestly.
Yeah, I think it did a really good job with the characters, especially with the way they changed the characters' sort of way of going about, because it wasn't really sort of classic Doc Ock.
Doc Ock is usually very self-reliant, or at least he kind of sits himself
Yeah.
atop the others. He has like, I mean, a lot of the villains have a superiority complex, but Doc Ock always has some of the most of that.
Yeah, you wouldn't really. Yeah, no, but I think it's done
That's
really
less
well.
the case in this movie.
Any closing thoughts, guys? Because I think
Yeah, we should
about
probably
time to
wrap
it
this up. I mean, we could talk about this movie so much longer. Just, it's just really good. It's really, really good. Go watch it. Happy holidays. Just give our
100%.
like holiday
Yeah,
message.
yeah.
Kind of our
Because
holiday
this is the episode we're recording right before we go on break. So yeah, this is our holiday episode, I guess.
We probably won't be around next week because this is kind of getting. We're not going to be able to record next week because that's when holiday break is starting, and we won't have access to this equipment. And also, I think you're going to Europe, and I don't know if
I'm going to Puerto Rico.
you're going to Puerto Rico, and I'm not doing anything.
Going to visit some family. Are you going to visit family, or are you just going to Puerto Rico?
It's like a family friend and we're visiting her like parents who were like there for the hurricane.
Oh, okay.
So like,
Are you going to be there through January when Lin-Manuel does his tour down there?
no.
Okay.
Unfortunate.
That would be cool.
That would be
Yeah.
cool.
No, but see this movie because it's really great, and if you don't, you're a bad person.
Basically.
Would you give it like a 10 out of 10?
Oh.
You think?
Easily.
9.5.
I'll give
You're
it like a
wrong.
9.8.
You're
out of
also
10.
wrong.
9.8 is good.
10 out of 10. Would see again.
No, it's really good. It's
Best
really
movie
good.
So
ever.
good.
So,
See it.
It's so good.
is that any closing statements? Want to plug
make
any
sure
things? Oh yeah, don't forget
Comments.
to comment.
Comments.
See what movie
See
you'd
what
like us to
movie
do first.
You'd want to see.
Which movie you want? It's up to you guys. You can choose whatever you want though.
Yeah.
Was that
any
infringed?
of those movies? Keeping in mind when this is coming out is like a day before my birthday or on my birthday. I can't remember exactly which.
Yeah, wish Ahmed
so
happy
maybe like do me a solid and choose something good.
No,
instead.
don't do that. Just
Like-
wish him a happy birthday. And then it'll be fine.
Dougal.
Yeah.
Dougal, we're gonna have to do at some point because it's so weird.
Things are about to get hairy. Dougal.
It's really weird.
Yeah, I hate everything.
All right. But yeah. So leave comments, and also leave comments for topics you want us to talk about. Because we're thinking about we're playing around with doing different stuff instead of news. So if you have something you would like us to talk about, let us know in the comments. And
I think that about does it, right?
Have a good Christmas, or if you don't celebrate Christmas, celebrate my birthday instead. Happy birthday
Have a
to
good
me.
Ahmed's birthday. Yeah, go with that.
all right.
All
See you
right.
later, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Just gonna keep signing like this.
Movies and stuff, eating them up. Just three dudes, something. Will podcast. Please listen to it. This podcast. Another podcast.